Thank you for having me, Ken.
Well, we wanted to talk today about breathing, and
Okay.
because it's natural, we all do it. Without doing it, we can't survive. Yet, how many of us are not breathing properly, and because of that, we are actually not fulfilling our health needs, and particularly around our brains.
hmm that's so true. I've been asked many times by people saying, "Why do I need a breathing coach?" Or "Why do I need to learn how to breathe? I've been breathing since I was born." That's very true, but not very many people realize that there's a right way to breathe and a wrong way to breathe. And the farther we are, so over time we develop poor breathing habits. And the farther we are from the right way of breathing, the farther we are from health as well. And whatever it is that we are prone to genetically, that is how the symptoms will come up. So it could be asthma, it could be high blood pressure, it could be mental health issues. Yeah, so it's different for everybody.
So, what's the right or correct way that we should be breathing?
We should be breathing through the nose, in and out through the nose. Not very, a lot of people think they have to breathe out through the mouth. No,
Mm.
in and out through the nose. And it should be calm and gentle breathing. There are um, there are numerical values to the parameters, but normally in talks like this, I just give the description because what people will be doing is, oh, I need to breathe these many times a minute. Oh, I should be, and then they start tweaking their breathing according to what they heard. But that's the wrong way to go about it, because then you're going to use your thinking brain. You're going to influence your breathing consciously when breathing should be automatic. So we don't want to be doing that, but we want to have a description of, you need to be breathing calmly and gently. And then if a person's not doing that, that's when they need to be helped. They need to be coached in how to normalize their breathing, how to get their breathing back on track.
So, in times of stress, when we find ourselves stressed and anxious and worried, and at
hmm
times we find ourselves worked up,
hmm
what has happened to our breathing at that time?
It's a normal reaction to stress. So your breathing increases because you need more oxygen to your brain. You need oxygen to the different parts of your body, especially if you need to fight back or run away. You need oxygen to your muscles. You need sugar, glucose to for you to do that, the energy. And so breathing goes faster. Blood rushes to our brains faster as well. So all these things are compensatory mechanisms by the body. They're good. The problem begins when stress is prolonged. Then hyperventilation, or breathing too much, like as if you were stressed, becomes the norm. That is when your body is in constant stress. Then that becomes your habit. That becomes your norm, and your body thinks you're always in danger. That's where the problem lies, because your brain will be operating as if constantly in danger. So it triggers the stress response, and cortisol and adrenaline will be flooding your system.
So we've taken inadvertently, we've gone from that fight or flight response, which is a short term acute response, and we've
Yes,
turned it into a chronic problem.
exactly. Yes, that's right. And because of that, there will be changes in your system, your metabolism, your blood chemistry. And one of the things, I wasn't sure whether we'd have enough time for this, but just throw it out there. Breathing, most people think of oxygen when we're talking about breathing, but actually what your brain monitors when it regulates your breathing is carbon dioxide, so CO2. And when you're under stress and you're breathing too much, your CO2 tolerance, your CO2 levels go down. We need CO2 in our bodies. We need to be tolerant to a certain level of CO2. And when we lose tolerance to CO2, then um, then that's when all these things comes. And one of the surprising roles of CO2 in relation to mental health is it calms the nervous system. When we have good levels of CO2, it helps calm your nervous system. So you've got better stress tolerance, less anxiety and things like that. When your CO2 levels are low, your nervous system is hyper reactive, hyper vigilant. And that's when anxiety, predisposes you to anxiety and panic attacks and depression.
The science behind this is fascinating. The only way I can think that I know to increase the level of CO2 for me is if I hold my breath. So are you suggesting that in order to make the changes that we would need to, what do we practice doing that, or are we breathing longer and slower? How do we do it?
You need to, well, number one, I'd say what we can go now. These are the tips that I would say how to help your body, to encourage your body to retain the CO2 and get your CO2 tolerance higher, is to number one, schedule relaxation in your day. Remember, breathing is automatic. So when you relax, your body responds by breathing calmer and gentler. So you want to do that. You don't want to tell your body breathe slower or breathe smaller. No, because that's thinking about it, and you will dysregulate your breathing even more. So by relaxing, you're going the roundabout way to helping your breathing relax. And also breathing in and out through your nose. That will already help you stop losing CO2. When you're breathing through your mouth, you're breathing out a lot of CO2. Yeah. And so you're losing too much. When you're breathing through the nose has smaller holes, nostrils are smaller. So you're able to lessen the loss of CO2. And also to avoid taking big breaths. You know how when someone's anxious or in a state, people say take a deep breath, but think about it. Deep, and what will they do? They'll take a big breath. Now, they're not synonyms. Deep is talking about depth, big is talking about size. So they're words that are not synonyms. They're talking about different concepts. You can take a deep breath that's small. So never equate deep with big. You should be breathing calmly and gently, and avoiding losing more CO2. Now, if someone is in a anxious state or chronically anxious, then definitely their breathing is already dysregulated. And one of the things that they will need to attend to, of course, there are other things. There's talk therapy, there's all these other very good therapies, but one of the things that has been missed in the past years is to also help with breathing, because yes, the talk therapy can address certain things, and other modalities, CBT and all these other things, can address other issues. But your breathing has become a habit, so you're still breathing more, too much, you're hyperventilating. Even if the stressor is gone and the therapies are helping you, but if you're still breathing at this level, then your brain still thinks you're in danger. So physiologically, you're not getting out of the fight or flight because of that, because of the way you're breathing. So you may be understanding it intellectually through all these therapies, what's happened to you and how you're going to manage with it. But physiologically, your body thinks you're still in danger, and therefore you're not out of fight or flight. And I think it's a good thing to combine these things, just to make sure that your body has the support in terms of the breathing.
How about one last question, Dina, if I may,
Sure.
on sleep? What about for those of us that breathe through our nose and maybe breathe out of our mouth when we're in bed, and particularly those people that say go to sleep on their stomachs, and so breathing doesn't come as easily? What can we do to help that?
You'll be surprised. Dr. Buteyko, who's a proponent, who started the Buteyko method, he actually said that sleeping on your belly is the best position for sleep, because
Really?
yeah, except that the problem with that is anatomically your neck, you might have stiff neck and things like that. But in terms of breathing, that was a better way to breathe, because it gets your breathing back down to calm and gentle. The best way to sleep, the second best way, would be on your left side, because that's the other position with a lower breathing. Now, when you open your mouth in bed, what that means is during the day you've been hyperventilating, but maybe during the day you might have your own way of regulating yourself, because you go, it's funny if I have my mouth hanging open. So you won't allow yourself to have your mouth hanging open all the time during the day. when you go to sleep, the way you were breathing during the day will be the way you will breathe at night, and even worse, because now you're asleep, no more conscious thinking. So now your mouth will pop open. There's no mind to say, don't do that. It's weird or funny or whatever. So your breathing will be affected by that.
So we can
And
finish. We can finish on a really optimistic note, then, or positive note. That if we were to concentrate and to take care of our breathing during the day, and to breathe in through our nose, out through our nose during the day, when we're asleep, the chances of being successful with that breathing technique have been greatly elevated.
it would be one
Mm.
thing, though. One thing is, because it is a process. What Buteyko tries to do is get your breathing. You know how I said about breathing habits going off track. We're trying to get your automatic day-to-day breathing back on track so that you don't have to think about it. Because when you think about it during the day, that's actually not the program in your mind. So when you go to sleep, it's still your brain is still going to do whatever it's programmed to do, which might be hyperventilating. So if you find yourself doing that, that's the time to go, let's look into my breathing. Maybe I do need help in getting my breathing back on track, and so that you sleeping better because you're not on fight or flight. Your brain will allow you to sleep deeper because you're not in danger, and your good breathing is now your back door to your autonomic nervous system, and therefore regulates it and helps you to be calmer and more relaxed.